Hello and welcome to Goddess Resurrection. My name is Britta and I am your host. And today's episode is on nurturing versus mothering in a relationship. So this is a hot topic and I've had many requests and questions on this. So we'll be diving into the definitions of what is actually mothering and what is nurturing when you're in a relationship with a masculine. Again, it doesn't depend on the gender. A woman can be the masculine partner. Even somebody who's gender neutral uses feminine and masculine energies. They are built in, they are unavoidable, they are a part of this ascension balance. And so we'll be diving into the specifics of the two, and we are also going to talk about what to do to get yourself out of your mothering when it comes to your partner, when it comes to your masculine, right? And but before we dive in, I want to say hello, my gorgeous. How are you? Happy solstice weekend. And this ties into last weekend's moon in Gemini. So this new moon in Gemini last weekend was so subtle, but so profound. So profound. It was the biggest reset of 2026, like I had said before. And just want to share with you a few experiences. Everybody gets their shifts and their resets in a different way. Abby Grace shared with me her amazing new moon reset. You got a new living space, a new workplace, and an internship, was it? Or you being an apprentice, right? So huge changes, huge. Congratulations. And some other sisters were deeply purging, a lot of purging with this moon, a lot of ego purging, a lot of doubt, a lot of scarcity, a lot of fear purging that came out with this moon. And I myself, just prior to the moon, I was purging quite a bit as well, and I was just feeling very weak. Like I didn't have much energy, and I felt kind of very sensitive and vulnerable in my body and in myself. And I didn't expect it, but with this last moon, last weekend, I had a deeper level of goddess embodiment. And ever since I've had this higher consciousness, this deeper connectivity, this higher frequency really set in, I've been feeling so strong and so on top of the world. And again, like I've said before, then we get used to it. We get used to the level up, and then we clear more to level up more, and then we get used to it again, and then it's time for another shift. So this is the ascension process. Yes. But yes, so definitely keep going with how you're feeling, how your inner guidance and your intuition is directing you to move. Because it's very important now that you don't compete, you don't compare, you don't look around as to what others are doing. It's always nice to know what others are doing, but don't follow. Goddess is never a follower. Goddess is never a follower. You are a leader. Every goddess is her own leader. You have your own mission, your own calling, your own guidance, your own blueprint, your own timeline. You have to now become that snowflake so radically, so that we can all be here in support of each other, right? So we can always be these wonderful snowflakes, and all of us are here with different roles. And we'll dive into this a little bit more with this subject. Now, Goddess, and this is now we're gonna focus on relationship, right? So you the feminine, you the goddess, with your masculine partner. Again, gender irrelevant. First, let me say, imagine a goddess, any goddess. All goddesses have had their partners. They all have their partnerships. No goddess ever mothers her man. I'm going to say man because that's where I live. But again, even if your partner is a female and is in the masculine energy, just use it to however it fits you, right? So I'm going to talk about the masculine being a man. And goddess would never, ever, ever mother her man. Yes? And this is something I had to learn the hard way. Believe me, it's been a huge, huge learning curve for me on my ascension journey, right? Because I've been married twice, and I love being married, right? I believe 3 times is going to be the charm, but it's been such a huge growing curve for me because of the way I was brought up, right? I was so anxious attached, right? I'm an anxious survivor, let's call it that. And I didn't know to be in my own energy. I had no idea to focus on myself. I was raised in the northern parts of Germany where the patriarchy, as it is everywhere, but where I grew up, men were more important and on the pedestal and ran the rules completely, right? Females were secondary. That's how I was raised. I was raised in that way of looking to the masculine, looking to please, looking to accommodate, looking to put him first. And then add on my abandonment from my father, who was completely absent. It was this journey that I had to have for myself to be able to heal and recover myself, right, into my inner goddess embodiment. And so I am certainly speaking from experience, and let's dive right in. Now, mothering and nurturing are, of course, overlapping somewhat, right? It's inevitable because both are traits that come with being a woman. And for me, even when I was in my 20s, my friends called me Mama Britta, because I was always the caretaker. I was always the nurturer. I would cook for them, right? I would make sure, like, that was already something that was so deeply natural to me that again, I didn't know better. And there are such subtle levels to this. And so let's go ahead and let's look at mothering. Mothering versus nurturing. If you really break it down, then mothering is the masculine energy and nurturing is the feminine energy. Why is mothering masculine energy? Think about what a mother does. If you're not yet a mother, imagine, or maybe you have a point of reference from your upbringing, maybe you don't. But generally, a mother that takes care of her child, first of all, she has to protect, the child, and she has to care for the child, focusing onto the child, anticipating needs, anticipating problems, anticipating events. The mother is the manager, right? She manages the child's life, the timing, the bedtime, the feeding, the play dates. Yes, mother is also self-sacrificing. And, self-sacrificing is what mothers have to do. When the child needs you, you have to show up. If you're tired or unwell or sick or struggling, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As the mother, you have to show up for your child or your children. That's just the way it is, right? And so this is all doing. It's all focusing onto the other. It's caring, it's teaching, it's guiding the child so they learn, right? It is growing a life in every sense of the way, and it's all doing. So yes, becoming a mother really has very little to do with feminine energy. Very little, almost nothing. Being a mother is all masculine energy. And then when we look at the feminine energy, when we look at the nurturing, what is nurturing? Nurturing is being, right? When we're in the being, when we're nurturing a space, or we're nurturing by listening, right? Or we're nurturing by balancing energies, or we're nurturing by making something beautiful. We're nurturing by receiving, right? So nurturing are just beautiful, beautiful ways of being in the flow, being in yourself, being in your own energy. And so we're going to dive into more specifics here, just to give you some examples. So let's say you're with your partner, right? So let's give some examples. So when you're in partnership, and first of all, let me remind you, and we've spoken about this before, but you being in your feminine energy, staying in your feminine energy, and when it comes to your partner, children are very different. You have to take care and manage and teach and guide and anticipate and self-sacrifice with children. That's what the role of a mother is. But you have to, you must pay attention to yourself, because you in your feminine energy, remember, you are the guiding energy. You in your feminine energy, you set the tone. You set the tone for the relationship. And men are very intuitive, right? They are very intuitive. It's not a conscious knowing. It's not necessarily even an awareness, but subconsciously they respond to you. You in your feminine energy, you are the guide to the dynamic, right? The masculine just responds to where you are at. So it's very important, and especially if you have children, it is really something you have to learn. You have to remember for yourself. So this is why we're not going to focus on children right now. We're only going to focus on your partner. And so, like I've said before, for you to be in your own energy when it comes to your partner, for you to focus on yourself, because you're the main event. You are your main event. You are the reason why you incarnated. Your partner is not the main event. Your family and friends are not the main event. Your children aren't even the main event. Yes, they are given to you to grow them and to raise them and to guide them and to teach them. Yes, but then you sent them out into the world and into their own lives, that these souls are here to live and complete. So you're the main event. You're the reason you're incarnated. Sure, there are soul contracts, and yes, there are callings and part to your purpose and mission, of course. But you're the main event. And this is very important for you to remember. And again, all of us have the patriarchy conditioned into ourselves, the way I just explained how I was so deeply in the patriarchy. Most of us still are. We have learned and were deeply conditioned to tend to the man. And that has to change. Nurturing is you being. Not doing, not giving. If he expects you to give, he is in his feminine energy. And then you have to be mindful of that, because you have to then correct this within yourself. And then he will subconsciously shift to match that, right? So we always have to keep the polarity alive. When you are mothering, when you are overgiving, when you are self-sacrificing, when you are making your purpose of your life him, it'll kill the dynamic, it'll kill the chemistry, it'll kill the attraction, it'll kill the romance, it'll kill the polarity. It is, it will, it has, it's just the way it is. And so let's dive into some examples. Okay, so let's say he comes home from work and you're already home, right? Let's say he comes into the door and you can see, that, he's a little off or a little like tired or, and so you say, "Hi, babe, how are you? How was your day?" And so then you let him talk. Let him share. Now you're listening, you're being, right? Remember, feminine energy is listening, and you're in your being, and you're listening, and you're letting him vent, or you're letting him share, letting him talk, letting him release through the expression. And maybe he wants to tell you about something that's going on at work. Maybe there's a coworker or a boss or some situation that's bothering him so much, and he shares with you. You stay in the listening. Do not give him unsolicited advice. That's mothering. So you stay in the listening. You stay in the right. You're just listening. You're just taking it in. And so to continue with the nurturing, what you do is you stay in the nurturing, and then, when he feels he's shared enough, then you say something along the lines of, "I have all the faith in you. I know you'll figure it out. I know you've got this, babe. I know you've got this. I believe in you," right? So that's also nurturing, encouragement. You see what I didn't do? I didn't go into giving advice. That's mothering. I didn't say, "Well, you should talk to HR, and have you spoken to this person, and you should say it like this, and have you thought of it in this way?" Right? This is all you now being his mother, even though you mean well, even though you might have the best ideas and even maybe perspectives he hasn't even thought of. But you do never, ever, ever give unsolicited advice. Okay? That's mothering. It's controlling. It's you taking over. And you can't do that. Now, if he wants to know your guidance, right? Because if he's a divine masculine, he's also aware of that you hold higher wisdom, you hold higher guidance for him from your light, from your goddess. And if he is wise and if he is healed, then he will ask you your opinion. Maybe not in the same sitting, maybe not in the same time and space, but maybe later on, or maybe the next day, or maybe over the weekend. Maybe he'll say, do you have any guidance? Do you have any advice as to anything I'm missing? Right? Maybe he'll ask you to check into the energies, into the dynamics, things that he can't see. And now again, he is being a divine masculine, and you're staying now in your feminine energy. You are staying in the nurturing, because now he asked you. If he asks you, then you tap in, then you tune in, and maybe you already know and you were just waiting for him to ask, right? Probably. But so you see the difference. Let me give a couple more examples before we dive deeper. Let's follow up with this. So let's say you're nurturing him and you make a beautiful dinner, right? You make a beautiful dinner, and that's doing, right? This is already, again, part of doing. It's a little bit of masculine energy, sure. But that's okay, right? Because that's life. You have to also be able to use both. But dinner is done. You, again, back into your feminine energy. Back into your feminine energy. Maybe you guys are sitting outside. Maybe you're inside and you lit some candles and it's just a beautiful atmosphere. What you do now, and remember, it's energy. More so than doing, it's you have to lean back into yourself, back into your feminine energy. And now it's his turn, because you've leaned back into your feminine energy, for him to say, oh, this is delicious. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. You're so awesome. Whatever he wants to say. Maybe he comes over to give you a kiss and a hug, right? And so you stay in your feminine energy, come back into the receiving. You need to stay in the receiving now to let him, give to you the gratitude, to give to you his appreciation. Yes? So you stay leaned back, you stay in your breath, out of your head, in your body connection through the breath. And let's say the two of you finished dinner and it was a beautiful conversation and beautiful atmosphere. Let's say he now gets up and puts the dishes in the dishwasher. You stay, let him, right? That's you staying in the nurturing. That's you staying in the feminine energy. Let him do that. Now, you being in the mothering, right? And I'm laughing because I've done all of it. So you in the mothering, yes, what you don't want to do, but this is the mothering example, is when he's packing the dishwasher wrong. Right? He's packing it wrong. You're like, no, that goes on the top. No, put that on the bottom shelf. Can you turn that around the other way so it faces that way? Yeah. Oh, no, don't use that Tupperware for the leftovers. Use the one with the green lid. Yeah, exactly. No, not that one. That one. That's mothering. And you're undermining him. And I can laugh at it because I've had to learn it all the hard way, believe me. And in the beginning, if this is difficult for you, that's okay. Just suck it up. It doesn't matter if he's packing the dishwasher wrong. You have to learn to let him do that, right? Don't even look. And again, you stay in your feminine energy, right? Because when you're giving unsolicited advice, or you're telling him how to do something better, or what to use instead, right? You are slowly but surely undermining him as a person, as a man. Because that's masculine energy. Remember, you being in that mothering, that's masculine energy. And that will eat away at the relationship, at the dynamic. And you have to learn to stay in your feminine energy and let him be him. Let him do the things the way he does them. That's you staying in the nurturing energy, because even by you doing nothing and by you saying nothing, that is nurturing. That is nurturing to him. That is nurturing to his confidence, to his sense of self. Right? So let me give you one more example. Let's say he's very stressed from work, or things are going on, maybe with friends, something going on, and he's stressed. You can tell he's in his head. He's So you come here. Let me give you a head rub. Let me give you a shoulder rub, right? You bring him back into his body, move his energy back into his body, right? Help him relax. So here you are, you're nurturing him. Head rub, shoulder rub, whatever it is, right? So you're taking care of him because you love him, because you want him to feel better, right? Because you want him to have a positive experience. But you do not make his doctor's appointments. You do not remind him to take his vitamins. You do not tell him about that, don't forget tomorrow is this, or don't forget, you have to call so-and-so. You do not tell him or remind him. You do not put his clothes out for him. You do not fix his plates. You do not do these things that you would maybe do for your son. You do not do these things for your man. And again, that's nurturing. Because he's a grown man. And because he subconsciously needs to feel that you trust him. You trust him to remember. You trust him to take his vitamins. You trust him to remember the call. You trust him to remember to take the garbage out. You trust him to remember to mow the lawn. And if he doesn't, then he has to deal with the overflowing garbage bins. So again, nurturing is very much about you being, because even if you're rubbing his head, your presence, your love, your loving presence, that's what feminine energy is. That's what the state of being is. That's what the state of nurturing is. It's really just you being that love, being that flow. And from that, maybe you're cooking or you're giving him a rub. Think of yourself as you, the receiving, staying in your own energy. And really, really, of course, both partners need to nurture the relationship, right? It doesn't work with only one person nurturing, but the masculine nurtures the relationship differently, right? So he has his own ways of nurturing the relationship, but of course, both have to choose the relationship every single day. Both have to keep the relationship healthy and balanced every day. Both have to be mindful of the relationship every day, right? It always takes two to tango, always. And that's that beautiful balance. And by you staying in your feminine energy, remember, you're the main event. You are your main event. And the most important thing to repattern yourself into your receiving, into your nurturing, into your feminine energy is to understand and always remind yourself, value your time. Value your time. You, the goddess that you are. You have a life. You are here for a reason. You're so happy when he needs to do something else. You should be so excited to focus on your art project or your creative project, or go out with a girlfriend, or get some time to yourself. You should be so happy to be in your own energy. Value your time. This is your lifetime. You are not here to complete him. You are not here to live for him. And that is the most important shift to this subject. And you being able to stay in the nurturing energy. Value your time. Value your calling. Value your mission. Whatever it is, whatever lights you up. It doesn't have to be affecting the entire globe. It could be just as simple as your close circle. It could be gardening. It could be mosaics. You have to have your life. You have to have your passion. You have to have your mission and your calling. You have to follow this inner guidance so that you can always be happy on your own and fulfilled on your own. That is the most important shift for you to do. You being in your own energy, right? You focusing on yourself, you valuing your time, you leaning back into yourself is you being in your feminine energy. And the key to maintaining the polarity, the key to maintaining the dynamic in the healthiest way is by you giving space, creating a void. The man has to have the feeling of there being a void because it's the masculine's role to fill it, to do, to give, right? That's the masculine energy. He is the giver. He is the protector. He is the provider. He is the one that reaches and closes the gap. He is the one that tends to you and wanting to see you happy, wanting to give to you. That's the masculine energy. So the key to it all is for you to stay always aware while you're in yourself, while you're in your breath, while you're in your own energy, while you're focusing onto yourself and your life and what you love and what you're passionate about. Always do less than what he does. Always give less than what he gives. You have to keep that void. You have to keep a space. You have to give it space. When he does the dishwasher, don't look. He has things to do that he forgets about. Don't say anything. Don't remind him. Don't give unsolicited advice, like don't reach in. It's a mother's tendency to do that. It is because you're so used to giving and caretaking and teaching and guiding and making sure you're a manager. A mother is a manager, right? So it takes effort and practice and awareness to don't reach in. Don't fill the space. That's his job. And if you can do that, and you can learn to do that, right? With time, you learn to do this with time. To stay back, leaned back in your breath, in your receiving, and yes, you nurture, and yes, you do, but never more than him. And after you've nurtured and done and given some, right back into being, right back into receiving and focusing onto yourself and planning your own schedule and doing your own thing and reminding yourself of what you need and asking yourself, what would I like? And tending to yourself as to what do I want to do tomorrow, right? Or if you already have a schedule full, go over that and you manage yourself. You do not manage him. You are not his manager. You are not his mother. You are not his chef. You are not his housekeeper. You are not his tending person. You are the receiver. You are the feminine. You are the nurturing force. Because just by you being that loving presence, you're already nurturing him in his pursuits, in his ways of being the man that you chose to be with. And keep this in mind and use it every day. Create that space, create the void. This is always the space for him to notice you're not focusing on him, for him to notice you're not paying attention to him, for him to notice, and then for him to come in and fill the space. That's his job, and that's what makes him feel good, and that's what makes him feel like a man, and that's what the attraction factor is, right? When you're reaching, when you're filling, when you're leaning into his energy and his space and his ways, you give him no room to fill. You give him no void to fill. So remember to stay. Let there be silence. Let there be space. Let there be void. And let him fill it. Always. Unless there is the circumstance where you have to because he's ill or something is going wrong. Yes, of course, there are exceptions to the rule. But more often than not, you're the one. You're the one that has to stay mindful. He's not going to have awareness of it. You're the one that has to stay mindful of always avoid, always some space for him to want to come to you, to want to be in your nurturing energy, to want to be in that loving space that you are when you are in the receiving feminine energy of yours, as the goddess that you are. Yes, my gorgeous. All right, so again, let me know. Leave me some comments. I love them so much. I appreciate them so much. To know with what's happening and how you're doing and how things are working when you're trying it out. Keep me posted. And as always, I am so grateful for you and your time and your energy on this platform. And as always, I am sending love and light blessings to you and yours. Hugs and kisses. Ciao.